Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah! Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Action Aid SA responded to the International Women's Day call to action, which is Be Bold for Change, by releasing a brand new report called People's Power versus Rising Inequality, South African Women Leading Change.
Action Aid is an international federation. It's an international NGO, and we work in 44 countries across the globe. So here at Action Aid South Africa, we're based in Johannesburg, and our primary mandate is to fight inequality and fight poverty, with a special focus on women's rights, access to land, children's access to education. So Action Aid South Africa and Action Aid International are part of the Inequality Alliance, and as you would know, there's a growing narrative around the issue of inequality across the globe and rising inequality in our country and beyond. The purpose for releasing this report is it sums up the 3 inequality reports that Action Aid has published over the last year, and we're doing this on International Women's Day because we want to draw the link between inequality, women's rights, women bearing the burden of inequality, tax justice, and people's power in pushing back against inequality. I think the biggest achievement is that, and the most inspiring thing is that people are being bold for change, and that is the theme for International Women's Day. People are rising up every day, and in the face of inequality and in the face of poverty, inequality, and oppression, women are rising up and they're pushing back and they're holding people accountable, and they're making change in their own communities, in their homes, and in society as a whole.
There are numerous issues that women in mining affected communities bear. That's one of the major things is around land access, water pollution, air pollution, and then women are responsible for the sort of social reproduction, labor issues within the country. So one of the biggest factors that come out around this is that often communities live in spaces right next to the mines, and it's very, very dangerous in terms of them being sinkholes, the sort of being exposed to so much levels of pollution. And that often is born in women when the children fall into sinkholes, or when family members get diseases related to respiratory issues. Those are all born in women. The levels of inequalities that women face in mining affected communities are stark. And often their concerns fall on deaf ears, even within the communities themselves. If one has to take, issues around traditional law structures and so forth, women don't have the right to own land. And that's where a lot of economic injustices also takes place. There's 2 cases that we currently is being filed at the equality courts, one in eMalahleni and one in Belfast, which raises the issues that it's black marginalized women that are most negatively impacted by mining, and they're the ones that get the least amount of benefit from these development projects. And so also within the MPRDA, the amendments that were suggested in 2005, mining affected communities have actively mobilized and formed part of this coalition that are challenging the MPRDA, and MUMUA, which is Women Affected by Mining United in Action, and WAMUA, Women Affected by Mining United in Action, have basically mobilized around the MPRDA amendments and come up with very viable, sustainable alternatives in the form of the People's Mining Charter. And what was critical to the People's Mining Charter, that one of the principles is around women's access to land and having the ability to own the processes and hold the rights that have direct impacts on both their lives in terms of economically, but also in terms of their bodies, which are a fundamental factor. Because another factor that relates to commercial sex is actual employment within the mining sector. So that 10% quota, women are often forced to sleep with managers and so forth in order to get these short-term contracts. So these are all the issues that they try to capture within the People's Mining Charter. So because political space is shrinking in South Africa, and I guess internationally as well, communities are crafting out very innovative ways of claiming their place, and not being easy just to ignore, because that's what policymakers in South Africa do, and political elite. They try to ignore communities and hope that they will disappear, and communities are making them very, very difficult.
I think it's very important mobilizing women, because of it has a far greater impact than it being one person. So when we mobilize, we have a lot of voices coming through, so that public barriers can be aware that it only doesn't affect one woman, but it affects the whole woman, because of what happens to an heterosexual woman also affects an LGBTI member. So we think mobilizing is really important because of its collective voices that are together. There's a case that we followed in 2014. It was a murder, rape, and all of that. We wanted the perpetrator to actually get a life sentence. Instead, he got far less than what we wanted it, and because of they labeled it as not a hate crime per se, but we wanted it to be recorded as a hate crime, and to be recorded that we wanted it to be a life sentence, but because of the RA movement was there, it got the highlight that it needed, but we didn't get the sentence that we wanted. So would say that it worked, but not to our satisfaction.
So the recommendations in the report are a guideline for duty bearers, government and civil society, and it's encouraging them to acknowledge the gender dimensions of inequality, to acknowledge that women bear the brunt of inequality, and to also shed light on the fact that women are mobilizing and changing society on a daily basis. So it's about recognizing that these women have the solutions and they are pushing back every day. So we need to ensure that we amplify their voices and we amplify their solutions and the policies and the interventions that government and civil society take to fight inequality. It's also about ensuring that tax and tax justice pays for gender responsive public services, and that if we have progressive taxation policies, we can ensure that the gender dimension of inequality is diminished. ActionAid South Africa has a focus on women's rights. So this coming April, we've put together a team of South African runners, and Team ActionAid South Africa are running the Two Oceans Marathon to raise funds for our women's rights work. So the catchphrase for this campaign is turning the tide for young South African women. You can get a hold of ActionAid on our website. It's actionaid.org/South Africa. You can also look out for our Two Oceans Turning the Tide for Young Women campaign. You can also follow us on Facebook, ActionAid South Africa, and do follow us on Twitter. It's @AA_South Africa.
For more stories like these, visit www.social-tv.co.za and subscribe to our social media handles.